Hi, this is Rock. We're going to look at Choosecols and Chooserows from the perspective of United States counties or county equivalents. As you know, in Louisiana, they are parishes, for example. Let's just call them counties then. So here's the county, here's the state, here's the population. And by the way, I got this off of Wikipedia at this address. There's an area in square miles. The population is as of 2020 and the date that that particular county was founded. Okay, I will put a freeze pane here. I'll put a freeze pane here so that as we scroll down, it stays there. I'm also going to, let's go ahead and insert a couple of rows, and actually I'll freeze the panes here instead. Let's put a filter there so we can work with that. Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick count here. If I say count A and then go down to the bottom, we've got 569 there. That doesn't seem like enough, and I think part of the reason it's not is as I go down here, aha, see, there's a gap. So let me filter for the blanks. There was just one. I'm going to delete that. And then clear this. And then I'm going to modify this to be, click on this and hold Control Shift, arrow down. That takes me to the bottom of that. Hit enter. 3200, that's more like it. And as I scroll across here and hit Control R to fill in, we don't have all the dates for when these were founded, but we've got a number of them. All right, what we want to do with this data is learn how to use Choosecols and Chooserows. Let's take a look and see what's going on with that. If I type Choosecols, as you see here, Choosecols returns columns from an array or reference. Okay, it looks for the array, and let's choose this array here as the array. The column number is however many columns you want there. Let's choose the third column and see what's going on with this. So I just chose the third column, and it basically grabbed, if you can see here, it grabbed this whole column and put it here. It's a way to take an array and select that particular column or row. So what we're going to do is take advantage of that in a few ways we know how. I'm going to hit delete here, and what I'm going to do is put a drop down here. Let's make this a data validation. I like to make those have an outside border. Click data validation, make it a list, and I'm going to select the source of this list as this. Okay, now if I select that, so I'll choose county, and then I'm going to do a quick lookup here because this county is column 1, then we've got 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, now let's do a lookup here, and we'll say XLOOKUP of this in this array, and we'll return this value. So that is 1. Let's do this then, and we'll say equals Choosecolumns, and the array will be this whole array, followed by the column that we want, which is that. And if I hit enter, so basically what we have now is a drop down that brings me back the column that I choose here. So I'm going to say state, and now it brings back the state. So I'm going to say population and brings back the population. This may seem simple because this is a very small data set in terms of the numbers of columns, but if you have hundreds of columns going across to the right, it can be very helpful to bring a wildcard column over here that you can choose which column you want to bring to your attention here on the left, choose it, and it brings it over and presents it. So that's something very handy. You can also do the same thing with the rows. What I'm going to do here is do a quick county and state combo because that's going to be important. I'm going to say state county, and here we're going to say equals state and space and county, which is I-14. And then as I take that all the way down to the end here, and I'll reset my filters here, I can give a row number here of, let's see how many there are. It's 3246. So I can say equals sequence and just click on this, and that'll give me a number for each of these. So now I can do the same kind of thing that I did up here where I have a drop down that says my data validation is this list. This is actually way too long for a feasible drop-down list. You shouldn't have more than 100 in a drop-down list. That doesn't make much sense. And I'll show you how to do drop-down lists where you could choose the state first and then have a drop-down list of the counties. So we'll do that later, but for now I'm just proving the point with the choose rows function and how it works. But if we do this drop-down and we choose one of these, I'm going to do the XLOOKUP just like I did for the choose columns, and we'll say equals XLOOKUP. We'll find this in this array, and then we'll return this array, and so that gives me that row of 8. So now if I use my choose rows function, I can indicate the array as that, and then the row number is going to be this, and I hit enter and it brings that back. So now I have a drop down here where I can choose which county. Let's go to Fulton County, Georgia. And it brings that back with the population and all the other pieces of data. So that's choose columns and choose rows. Next, we'll be looking at drop. See you there.